All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's turn on the game. Let's see if it even appears. There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Kaiserklein versus Knuschelbär. Just before I started the stream, I think Knuschelbär was ready, but since ungreened up. But as we can see here, going to be our best of 7 series in the Pro Division quarterfinals. Seed number 1 versus seed number 8, if I'm not mistaken, Knuschelbär. A match for a lot of money up for grabs. Kaiserklein versus Knuschelbär, France versus Russia for this first game in our best of 7 series. Like I mentioned, ESOC Winter Championship 2020 Pro Division quarterfinals. This match, both players have already qualified for that $125 for qualifying for the quarterfinals. But to get to the semifinals would, I think, if I'm not mistaken, guarantee that a player gets at least $225 and also give the player who advances from this stage the potential for the first place prize, which would be $750 on the board. To the north of the map, we have Kaiserklein, like I said, number 1 seed, probably the strongest player, at least definitely the strongest player according to his peers. I think in the power rankings, he was rated number 1 by a decent margin. Lord Raphael taking the number 2 slot here, who was actually knocked out in the round of 16. Lord Raphael was only slightly behind Kaiserklein, but we also have Knuschelbär, who was in the power rankings ranked number 6. In the tournament, though, he's seed number 8. A little bit of an unlucky break going against the number 1 player when you're a little bit stronger than the number 8 seed, but Knuschelbär, a very respectable player in his own right, one of the leading players for his team on the EPL, also got to the Grand Tour playoffs both seasons, but not much to do with, like mainline tournaments. I think in the the Autumn Championship of 2018, Knuschelbär, I think he only got to the round of 16 maybe before he was, I think, knocked out by Tabin. But this time he's in the round of 8 and definitely gunning for a semifinals position. He's going to come up with some steep opposition with Kaiserklein, though. But just looking at the resources real quick, gold mines, 1 in base for both players, and then they have to extend outwards. A good hunt and another good hunt for Knuschelbär. And then same for Kaiserklein. Yeah, perfect. So 3 hunts for both players, 2 gold mines that they kind of have to extend out towards. And other than that, we should be good. You have to go a little bit farther on the map to get other resources, but that's fair for both players. I think the hunts. This one's starting to drift a little bit towards Kaiserklein. He'll definitely be happy about that. Knusch, on the other hand, he'll have to extend a little bit more, maybe out this way, if he's going to go for like an aggressive blockhouse in this matchup, playing as France, of course. Shipment sent. We've got Kaiserklein overpopped right now, sending a 3 coureurs de bois, building the house in transition, just to make sure he doesn't get idled there. And queuing up the rest of his villagers, going to go for a 14 village most likely. That's his standard play. Let's take a look at what the treasures have been collected for each player. A lot of small treasures, so nothing big so far. Knusch got a cougar off the bat, but I think that was actually killed by Kaiserklein. He might have taken a little bit of damage there. Not long lived for this world, that poor cougar. It could have been good scouting material, and it probably did scout out a little bit of the resources along this end before it was eventually slain, but either way. Again, small treasures for both players, and no big pickups so far, although are there some big treasures on the map? 80 XP is definitely a respectable one there. 30 coin, 20 coin, 50 wood for Kaiserklein. 60 food for Kaiserklein. So I think Kaiserklein definitely coming away from this game with the better deal, even getting the 80 XP treasure here. Knusch, on the other hand, he's only gotten 20 coin, 35 food, 65 food. Kaiser, 60 food, 50 wood, and then 50 coin. I mean, it's actually kind of similar. The only big difference there is that Kaiserklein got the 80 XP as well, but actually going to lose his Explorer here. Trying to pull trick with the Native Scout, pull him out of the line of fire of the Russian explorer here. Just getting away, just out of line of sight. Nice pull trick. Failing a little bit with that one, but that's okay. 10 HP, so I'm pretty sure. Yeah, one more shot would have led to the death of Mr. Jacques Aubert. But actually escaping this time, getting to the safety of the town center, gonna have plenty of time to heal and just sit in his base. The really good thing about getting all that damage in on the French explorer early in this transition to the colonial age, is that that's gonna, pretty significantly limit the amount of scouting Kaiserklein can do as to, what the Russian player is up to. Knuschelbär, unfortunately, it's not quite scouted yet. Of course, us as observers, we do know that native scout is, kind of close to where these villagers might be, but it seems like his path is on a different trajectory. Gonna scout out the trading post that went up for Knuschelbär, so Kaiserklein is informed that Knusch is going for like at least a slightly economic build order, definitely not an all-in rush. But as far as the blockhouse positioning, Kaiserklein has not yet scouted that. If he is anticipating Knusch to perhaps even go for a forward blockhouse at all. Of course, us as the observers, we do know that Knuschelbär is not going for anything defensive at the moment. I'm going for a middle blockhouse. I'm going to establish some map presence and awareness with that blockhouse line of sight. No market up yet, but definitely that trading post is a good way for Knuschelbär to mitigate the economic disparity that usually occurs in this matchup after the French player has sent 4 Coureurs de Bois. 5 Cossacks for shipment, popping out of the blockhouse. Gonna get some early pressure. Definitely gonna seem... that Coureur de Bois is definitely gonna die. That's what I'm trying to say. Way far out from the town center. Not even a greatcoat having been researched yet. Steel traps just coming in. But there should be hussars in queue. Let's take a look at the units in queue. Yes, 1 hussar in queue. Looking at the coin count, there's enough gold for at least 3 more hussars and some town center damage. Gonna start to work away at these Cossacks as well, shooting with the Coureur de Bois. They've got to be careful. Okay, did get that in the town center. One of the Cossacks down. Taking some damage, very close there. Kaiserklein could have lost another Coureur de Bois. But again, taking a little bit of damage. Not too much damage on those Coureur de Bois there. Got in a lot of extra food by gathering on those hunts. And now the stealth native scout. Knuschelbär going to have to be very active with his own explorer to be able to find this native scout. I think this native scout is in a very smart position for Kaiserklein. Actually, now moving it a little bit. I liked where this was. It's got like plenty of line of sight for Kaiserklein to notice things that are passing by this wall segment, but it's also slightly out of range of being scouted by the explorer, usually. Although now Kaiserklein getting awareness of this blockhouse position. Unfortunately, his raid, or what seemed like he was trying to go for a raid, is going to get scouted out. 5 musketeers hitting the board for Knuschelbär, and ooh, gotta be very careful here because that positioning is very precarious. Might even get cut off by the Cossacks. Oh, it seems like they're definitely going to connect, but Kaiserklein is aware and definitely going to be able to escape with these hussars, but they're disconnected from the rest of the base of Kaiserklein. The potential for another batch of hussars popping out. 4 hussars in queue. Not enough food for a 5th, it seems like. Gonna get idled again. Might lose 1. Not even 1 Coureur de Bois. Very keen, but the hussars now coming back to enjoying this trained batch of 4. And with town center damage. This is not going to be a bad engagement for Kaiserklein at all. But going to be very careful. That explorer trying to sponge some damage. This fight, who it's going to go towards, not enough resources for Minutemen, but throwing out some Coureur de Bois to sponge some damage. Good micro from Kaiserklein, bringing them back against the meleeed musketeers. I think we see 4 hussars on the board, 3 Cossacks left, town center damage, Coureur de Bois on the field. I mean, it's a very even engagement. You got to consider what Knuschelbär, put into this. It's 8 Cossacks and 10 musketeers. I think overall that was probably a pretty good trade for Knuschelbär. A lot of idle time for Kaiserklein, trading off 8 hussars for, 10 musketeers and 8 Cossacks and a lot of idle time. I'd say that's a roughly even engagement now. 8 Expomen popping out. Barracks being constructed for Kaiserklein. Good positioning. It's kind of unassailable. Oh, but losing some musketeers here for free. Almost got that Coureur, but not quite enough. I think, really, this has gone pretty well for Knuschelbär. The scores are... There's a little bit of a differential now that 8 Expo has popped out. Even a very cheeky trading post for Kaiserklein. That trading post was really important for him to establish so that he would actually be able to keep up in terms of basically just economy in the long run. But the economies at the moment, if you're just taking them in abstract without making reference to the market upgrades are a lot better for Kaiserklein here. But in terms of, just the villager, straight up villagers on the board, it's pretty even for both players, which is a lot better for the Russian player than it is for the French player here. So I think having gotten a really even engagement in the base of Kaiserklein, 8 Hussars again for 8 Cossacks and 10 Musketeers and a lot of idle time, this puts Knuschelbär at a significant advantage, to close out this game. I mean, this is a really strong mass. A lot of Cossacks, a lot of Musketeers, and the 13 Strelett shipment reinforcing. This is a very solid composition, and there's not a lot for Kaiserklein to hold here. It's got Musk, Huss, Q, plenty of resources banked, and the potential for Minutemen, and those Minutemen are going to be really, really important for DPSing down these Cossacks, which are now focused on the crossbowmen, which are just floating around the back of Kaiserklein's base, really not being able to focus on the Musketeers, which is what they'd like to do. Yeah, and a really convincing fight, and I don't think, even with all the units that Kaiserklein could, in theory, mass, a batch of 5 Hussars, a batch of 5 Musketeers, we did see 5 Musketeers popping out, only 2 Hussars, but there are plenty of, Cossacks and Musketeers here for Knuschelbär to focus fire down these Hussars, and then the Musketeers are just fodder for the 13 Strelett shipment. And first game, a quick game 1, not even, just barely over 10 minutes. A sweeping victory for Knuschelbär. So, I mean, really well put together by Knuschelbär. I think, Kaiserklein just not being able to scout out, what Knuschelbär was up to in the transition from Discovery to Colonial Age kind of put him at a significant disadvantage. Even though, Kaiserklein probably would have gone for the same strategy, start stable, train Hussars, try to raid, hold the 5 Cossacks with those 5 Huss, my Coureur de Bois, my Town Center Fire. All of that would have stayed the same, but after that first engagement, with the 5 Cossacks versus in the base of Kaiserklein, 4 Hussars popping out, Knuschelbär evacuating. When these Hussars were running around the base, getting scouted by the blockhouse, getting, in an awkward position where they were going to be entangled with the Cossacks and the Musketeers, having to send the Hussars around the back here, then getting pressured in his base with only 4 Hussars to defend and then trying to reinforce, but it was just a really awkward engagement. You saw 8 Hussars there versus, a decent investment from Knuschelbär, but overall the engagement went quite even, and even engagements always go to the favor of Russia when it comes to colonial wars. So a quick game 1 for Knuschelbär, the underdog in this series. Quite a surprise, really. But I think Kaiserklein, definitely not a fan of the map Bonnie Springs, so if he's dropping a game on that, probably not too concerned. Although it is a rough way to start off the series. But it'll be up to Knuschelbär to lock civilizations first here. We see Knuschelbär locking the German civilization for Game 2 on this map. A little bit of a ping issue. It didn't seem like a big issue in Game 1. Of course, I am from NA, West Coast, California, and we have a player from Austria and a player from France. So you do get that transatlantic connection. I don't think our ping is that bad. It shouldn't be more than 150 to 200 milliseconds. But yeah, green there, and the player's ready to go. Kaiserklein counterpicking with Ottoman. Game 2 in our best of 7 series. Quarterfinals of the Pro Division. Both players already qualified for that big money prize pool. $2,250 for the Pro Division. Both players, for having made it to the round of 8, will be guaranteed at least $125. But should they move on further, qualifying them for either $225, $350, $450, or $750 for that first place prize. That's fourth, third, second, first. Kaiserklein, our dominant player, number 1 player, rated by his peers, number 1 player when it comes to all objective measures, ELO, power ranking, everything. Everything about Kaiserklein kind of bleeds the first, the first thought when it comes to Age of Empires 3 professionals. His counter pick, though, Ottoman. He lost Game 1 versus Knuschelbär on Bonnie Springs, Russia versus France. Knuschelbär proving victorious with the Russia in a very quick game, 10-minute game. Now choosing to lock Germany, he's our green player to the south. And if I didn't mention it, Kaiserklein, he's going to be playing in the blue color as the Ottoman. A quick first trading post, both players gearing for that trading post, which inclines me to believe it was a 200 wood start for both players, which is, I'd say a little bit more favorable for the German player here. Of course, Ottomans, they're never sad about getting an extra 100 wood. That allows them to get the mosque here, which is going to give them, basically, it's like a half a trade post. A 0.7 XP trickle is very significant, very nice to have, and also it enables the Ottoman player to get the nice mosque upgrades that speed up villager train time in the transition to, colonial and in early colonial. Those are really nice upgrades. But 200 wood overall allows Knuschelbär to establish a trading post without having to chop any wood whatsoever, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, he does need to chop 100 wood, but that's not a big deal because the trading post is very significant to alleviate Germany of their civ malness, I suppose is what you'd call it. Germany, they have very powerful shipments that grant them 2 Yulins with every colonial shipment, 3 extra Yulins for every Fortress Age shipment, so on. At the expense, though, they have a slower XP, not XP gather rate, but a slower shipment progression. They need more experience points to get a shipment than other civilizations, such as, Ottoman. Taking a look at the treasures. Of course, both players picked up a trading post, so not going to be much in the way of early, big early treasures. 50 wood, 60 food, 60 food, and Kaiserklein currently working on what is a 75 wood treasure. Very nice. So very even, again, both players getting a trade post, both players getting roughly equal treasures, and the scouting patterns around the map. I do kind of like what, just in theory, Knuschelbär's scouting pattern here. Of course, he hasn't scouted out his hunts, but luckily enough, both are appearing in his line of sight. We do have 2 deer hunts for our player. A little bit extended for Kaiserklein, but he only needs to go out right here. This is going to be a little bit more difficult for him to secure, since it's a little bit out of the line of sight of his town center. But it's definitely there, definitely easily hurdable. But against Germany, with raiding pressure, that can be a little bit annoying. But it seems decent for both players. The food now just drying up in player's base. Looking at the other hunts around the map. So it seems like a pretty low resource spawn of Arizona. Of course, Kaiserklein now working on herding in this hunt. I believe he's probably going to set up a forward, a forward barracks to train Janissaries once he's up to the colonial age. A second trading post being established, not gathering any more wood. So I think we'll definitely see at least a forward barracks. Oh, there we go. Advanced trading post. Sorry, not advanced trading post. Silk Road. A shipment that increases the bounty of all crates from 100 resources to 125, and also once stagecoached, once upgraded to the stagecoach line, these trade posts will garner a greater resource yield than they would have if they were, you know, just normal trading posts. But I definitely think we're going to see a forward barracks at the very least for Kaiserklein to start off this game. I'm not sure what he would do for a second military building or what else he might want to spend with that wood. It seems like, yeah, so we have a very forward barracks, a very, very forward barracks, and probably the Explorer coming in to get that trading post over here. Actually, Kaiserklein already investing in the stagecoach technology from the seams of it. You know, he doesn't have another house out yet. He had to spend that wood on something. And probably going to wait for 700 wood to come in before getting the next trading post. Knuschelbär, really good scouting pattern. I really like what he's done so far. You know, Knuscha's scouted out the hunts of the Ottoman player. Or at least he scouted out this one, which he knows is being herded by the Ottoman player. Now the Ottoman player, 700 wood in, going to get that trading post, a house for line of sight. But again, forward barracks, a very, very forward barracks. If there were ever a counter push by Knuschelbär, who's got a barracks up now, units in queue, let's take a look. 2 pikemen. Oh, that's a little bit strange. Pikemen to start off for Knuschelbär. You know, I figure what Knuschelbär is going to want to do. You know, Knuschelbär has definitely scouted this barracks. I don't know if he scouted the, he has scouted the artillery foundry. So training some pikemen, he's probably going to want to siege this trading post over here, but it's a little bit risky because, you know, there's some Janissaries coming in. The Janissaries have scouted the pikemen, and now the pikemen are going to be waypointed. Let's see. Just to the side, you know, Knuschelbär doing some active micro. Now waypointed all the way over here. Gonna try to see, like I said, you know, siege down that trading post in the meantime, but Knuschelbär a little bit defenseless. Kaiserklein now just trying to assemble his push. A big raid from the Uhlans coming out here. Gonna keep Kaiserklein just prowling around the side of his base. Gonna keep him on his toes. Kaiserklein now sending the Janissaries to siege Knuschelbär's trading post. Another 5 pikemen, 10 pikemen on the field for Knuschelbär. I suppose this isn't too bad because now that the Janissaries are sieging down the trading post of Knuschelbär, Knusch knows he's safe in his base for the time being. He's not going to have any pressure by, like, you know, 10 Janissaries trying to harass his base. Plus, Knuschelbär has done a very good job of keeping these resources tucked very tightly under his town center. So even if he were to be under any pressure, it's very unlikely he would lose a villager, as long as he has some tight macro. Again, you know, some raiding pressure coming out for Knusch. Seems like a Uhlan died to the town, some town center fire, and some big damage on that last Uhlan there. 10 pikemen taking down his stagecoach, not a stagecoach, a trading post, and the obus being split off to handle these pikemen, but it's a little bit risky having these obus so far out. You know, considering Knuschelbär is likely to have, beautiful split by Kaiser there. Wonderful micro. These obus guns dealing exactly enough damage with just 2 of them to one-shot a pikeman. Kaiserklein had just enough obus guns to kill 2 pikemans with 1 volley. Good micro. Ooh. A little bit cheeky here, but Kaiserklein again on top of it. And in the back of it, Kaiserklein with this minimal pressure, minimal investment in Age 2. You know, he's just got the trading posts. Even Knuschelbär going to try to build the trading post back over here after sieging it down. But Kaiserklein, really intelligent. Jeez. Oh, just going back now? Oh, Knusch is going to get away with it. Okay, no. So it does seem as though Kaiserklein did see the Explorer coming in. Okay, maybe not. I was figuring... Yeah, so there you go. Kaiserklein did see that the trading post and the Explorer were coming this way from the stagecoach line of sight. Again, very on top of it. Just out of the corner of his eye seeing that. But, yeah, some pressure from the Uhlans. Good job by Knuschelbär. You know, he's a very powerful and respected team player. And good macro with these raids is something Knuschelbär is very good at doing. And up to Fortress H himself. A nice Vil kill. Another one. Might lose the Yulins. Gonna lose 2 Yulins at the very least, but 2 Yulins for 2 villagers is not a bad trade. Escape with 1 here. Kaiserklein continuing to establish himself on the line. But again, you know, getting pressured by Knuschelbär. Great macro and just great strategic choice, you know, sieging this side, then going in a U path around here to take down this trading post as Kaiserklein moved all his military to this side. And even the, gosh, just so much about what Knuschelbär does with his macro is just, the timing seems so right. And especially that he's leading the game, leading the series with 1 victory here. He's really looking on form. Even an outpost going up for Knuschelbär for some defensive insurance. A wall as well. Quite uncommon to see from the German players, especially because there's still some decent amount of resources left on this this coin mine over here. But now, Kaiserklein, he did get that trading post up, lost his explorer, but that's not a big deal. The trading post is what he's really after, and he did get that established. So he has full control over the trade line, and what seems like should be a pretty decent economic edge over the German player. Is that true? So actually, not quite, because Kaiserklein has absolutely no market upgrades so far. I don't even think he's got a market built. And he's invested all of his wood into controlling this trade line, which is now... which is pretty important to have. You know, he's got full line of sight of Knuschelbär's military movements, knows where the pikes are, knows where the skirms are sieging now, the exposed skirmishers, although 5 war wagons. A little bit tricky. Not even veteran obus guns yet, but they're going to do some significant damage against these veteran skirmishers. Takes 4 obus shots to kill 1. Should be able to split fire if he's keen. Let's see it. A little bit slack in there. But still, you know, pressuring these obus guns, these obus guns are so great at dealing with the these skirmishers. But I do really think he should... Did save the trading post. Gonna lose 1 of them, but that's okay. Another obus gun in queue, so veteran obus... Oh yeah, veteran obus is on the way, and that's pretty important. I wonder what the next shipment is going to be for Kaiserklein, having set 1,000 coin to, you know, allow him to train, keep up production with his artillery foundry and his barracks. Starting to run out of food in base. Oh no, pumped right into 4 Mamluks. Veteran obus guns also established, and some more obus guns and Janissaries on the way. And with Kaiser's superb micro, it'd be a really good situation. You know, cheeky Knuschelbär putting a lot of his villagers over to this exposed coin mine, but it's quite out of line of sight. Probably not somewhere where Kaiserklein is likely to scout. Does present a high risk, but it's high risk, high reward, and I suppose that's Knuschelbär's line of play here. Be safe though here. Could be some big picks here. Nowhere near in time to reinforce, so these 3 obus guns... Oh, a nice pull by Kaiserklein. Let's see him melee these Janissaries. But it seems like all of them are going to converge. Now the Yulin's getting caught in melee with the Janissaries, in melee with the Mamelukes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 Yulins dead at the price of 1 obus gun. A nice trade for Kaiserklein. Did escape a few of those there, and now selecting them for, you know, multiple raiding groups around the map. Although, Kaiserklein taking a big risk here. Oh, what? What happened here? A little bit of a mistake here, but bigger movements around the map. A huge mass from the Ottoman player. Trying to converge, going to get snared perhaps by the obus guns, but there are a lot of war wagons there to threaten the Mamelukes. I think Knuschelbär, you know, he's trying to piece things together for himself. Really exposed here. This could be devastating if Knuschelbär doesn't take care. It seems like a little bit of an attack move bug. Gonna get snared by the Mamelukes here. Excellent positioning from these obus guns. Gonna get massive damage in. A lot of war wagons though, so I don't know how much Kaiserklein's going to want to commit here, but the Janissaries coming forward from the back. We do see one of the Mamluks dead so far. Getting caught around this gate. Really difficult positioning. One war wagon down. And the war wagon's not being focused on the Mamluks, so huge damage. The skirmisher mass of the German player completely eradicated. Now being, as well, pressured off this mine. This is where this back mine is going to come in real handy. But let's look at the coin count. There is enough for, you know, Knuschelbär to continue his production. You know, even after being pressured off the resources. Really smart 2 Janissary placement from Kaiserklein for scouting purposes. Now going to get found by the war wagons, but, you know, Knusch is in a really dire position, having lost all of his skirmishers. Now even 2 falconets on the field. 8 Yulins popping out for Knuschelbär, but not going to be able to take that engagement with the threat of the Mamluks and the Janissaries behind that outpost. Alright, behind those falconets. Even a town center coming up for Kaiserklein, and that's very important to be able to, you know, counteract any potential, any raid potential from Knuschelbär, any comeback potential that Knuschelbär might gun for, you know, an alternative win condition, just getting off a huge raid, because at the moment it doesn't seem like Knuschelbär is able to take a fight. Scores quite even, and when the scores are quite even in this particular matchup, that's usually to the favor of the Ottoman player. A very intimidating mass from the Ottoman player at the moment. Getting penned up a little bit, just getting the town center damage on a raiding group of Yulins. But again, dwindling the mass of Knuschelbär. He's lost a lot of Yulins. You know, he's been very active raiding around the map, but at the same time, Kaiserklein has been very aware of it. Done pretty well to protect his villagers here. It's just looking really, really good for Kaiserklein. Starting to pick away at this town center. Putting Knuschelbär on a clock, and I figure, you know, if there were anything that might bring Knuschelbär back into this game, it could be, you know, a shipment like 13 Hessian Jaegers or Black Riders, but he's going to have to, you know, ward the Ottoman player off of his town center, or else he might not have a shipment point to send that to. There's no outposts around the map. Starting to pick. Minutemen called. Seems like it's go time. Is there something popping out? Not entirely sure. The Janissaries going forward to get into melee range with the war wagons. Really, really good job there. But now the Mamluks, oh, sorry, pardon. 7 skirmishers, the next shipment for Knuschelbär. Oh, gonna make mincemeat of these falconets popped off in the back. Really good focus fire on the war wagons, but still plenty of them left alive. All 3 Mamluks still there. Good meleeing of the Janissaries from Kaiserklein, going to ward off the Uhlans. And really, it's looking difficult for Knusch. Not able to connect the Uhlans on the obus guns like he needed. All of the war wagons getting taken down here by melee Janissaries and Mamluks. Very importantly to snare there. Still 1 Mamluk left. Mamluk just now is still 289 hit points. And almost all of the war wagons being taken down. So the skirmisher mass is cleaned up. Basically everything cleaned up. You know, there's some raiding Uhlans still around the map. But here you go, the villagers of Knuschelbär are getting scouted out, and it seems like there's not much left in the game for Knuschelbär to do. You know, still, he does have the shipment on the way, but what can he send? He's already sent 8 skirm, 7 skirm, 8 Yulin, 9 Yulin. There's 3 war wagons that can be shipped, right? And a decent skirmisher mass still for Knuschelbär, but a very significant mass of obus guns, and those are can handily dispatch a 3 war wagon shipment and any massive skirmishers at this point. And a really good job by Kaiserklein connecting the dots, never being caught lacking. Even another town center coming up very forward. Didn't take down the original town center of Knuschelbär, who has now repaired his town center. But even still, okay, gonna lose 3 obus guns, but again, not a big deal considering, you know, just look at this. Look at the recalculated economic population, and then consider that, you know, Kaiserklein also has a Silk Road trading post line to his favor, as well as 2 town centers popping out villagers, a 3rd going up. A little bit exposed, a little bit risky placement, but if it goes up, which it likely will, that's going to be very, very good for Kaiserklein. He's going to have a solid boom behind this. And Knuschelbär, with resources dwindling around the map, having to gather on exposed locations with a slight military disadvantage. It'll be very difficult for Knuschelbär to retain control of this game. Even a little raid coming out from a single lonely Janissary. Popped in melee, caught a little bit exposed. These Janissaries over here, but gonna be, like I said, popped into melee. Gonna snare these war wagons so that the reinforcing main military mass of Knuschelbär can connect with them. Gonna get focused down though, a nice Minutemen pop. Even one of those war wagons being taken down by the Obus, fighting some DPS in the back. Melee, look at that, melee Minutemen snaring the skirmishers. Knuschelbär trying to be fancy and do a pull trick, but failing. Although he's doing it right now, getting out of the snare of the Minutemen. But again, look at this, so exposed, and like I mentioned, with the military disadvantage, Kaiserklein just pumping in damage on these villagers, widening the economic gap with solid control all over the map. Now getting raided himself, so can't say down for the count. Good job by Knuschelbär, but I'm very afraid that it's not going to be enough. The villagers fighting now. Huge, massive Obus guns and not under threat of the Uhlans here with plenty of Janissaries to boot. The war wagons and the skirmishers from the German player disconnected, not providing enough DPS while these Uhlans get focus fired by the kiting Ottoman military. And look at that, so many dead villagers. Let's take a look at the units lost. 9 dead villagers for Kaiserklein. I mean, that's just, for one, Germany, but also Knuschelbär, who's a very, very strong team game player. But look at that. 31 villagers lost for Knuschelbär. And that's not really due to, I'd say poor management. It's just kind of a strategic loss, really. Where he's had to, be around the map to... It's just been very difficult for him. Because what he needs to do is have his military securing locations around the map for his villagers to gather and holding those locations. But it's difficult because for a lot of the game, he hasn't been at a military advantage. So when you're at a military disadvantage and you need to hold an exposed location, losing 30 villagers is kind of the cost of that. More raids coming out. Now being tasked backwards. So again, Knuschelbär just making the most of his actions per minute, trying to keep Kaiserklein on the back foot, trying to tax his actions per minute as much as possible. Make it so that he'll have a tough time focusing on the macro of fighting and controlling his villagers at the same time. Great pressure from Knuschelbär all around this game, but wow, look at that. Oof. 5 Doppelsaugers taken down for not even 25% HP on a trade post. Trading line being a little bit contested by Knuschelbär. Knuschelbär doing well with these mobile units. The war wagons and the Uhlans are a much more mobile composition than what the Ottoman player can field. Look at this, 47 to 16. Even if Knuschelbär is able to get in a good raid here, 5 cavalry archers coming in to reinforce a really nice compositional add from Kaiserklein. even if he loses these and it's not cost effective for Kaiserklein, I think he's completely content because he's not losing villagers. And, you know, even though he's getting snared here, Minutemen called, and, you know, this is going to open up a window for Kaiserklein to begin pressuring around the map, or just sieging the base of Knuschelbär. Even if all of these villagers go in the town center here, it's really not a big deal because you can just take a look at the population counts and tell, you know, Kaiserklein is way ahead here. And as far as outs for Knuschelbär to win this game, Kaiserklein could probably delete this town center and every single villager inside of it and still come out victorious here. Just, yeah, his military is beefed up so much here. Not even cavalry combat for Knuschelbär yet. Doesn't have the shipment to even send that. Whereas Kaiserklein, he has Janissary combat as well as light infantry, light artillery hit points on his obelisk guns. Look at that, 182 hit points and a killer siege attack, now taking down the town center. The original town center, not going to be able to revive that, Count Christensen. And a point on the board for Kaiserklein to tie this series up. Game 2 on Arizona. Let's take a look at the military graphs because I feel that that might be what's most telling. So it seems like, you know, there was a really bad engagement for Knuschelbär at the 13-minute mark. I forget what exactly had happened. I feel like maybe at that point Kaiserklein was pushing into Knuschelbär's base from this angle. Honestly, I actually don't recall what happened there. But one of the really important things to take note of here is the, you know, sustained military production from the Ottoman player here. He got up to the Fortress Age first. He established complete control over the trade line, and he had military production and did a good job warding off the raids from the German player. So there was really never a window for the German player to make use of Germany's strongest timing, which is in early Fortress. And so you saw the Ottoman player, Kaiserklein, keeping up in military population, not getting caught out of position, and when there was that engagement, and this is Germany's most important window, is like the 11 to 15-minute mark. That's when they need to do their damage. We saw a pretty poor engagement for Knuschelbär, and from there, you know, Kaiserklein had wrested control of the map, started building more town centers, and then another engagement that didn't go so well for Knuschelbär. Kind of just the breaks there, and that's game 2 to Kaiserklein. Map is Florida, and it seems Kaiserklein has already locked France. So having played France in game 1, lost with it, Kaiserklein will be able to play France again. And it seems like that is his choice. Knuschelbär cannot play Russia, but he can play Germany again if he would so please. It's hard to tell when Kaiserklein is salty, or maybe I don't think he's salty at all. I don't even think he's particularly trying to tilt Knuschelbär with that. Last comment before going into game 3. But it's going to be France versus Japanese. And we have actually seen this matchup in particular before. In fact, on this exact same map. In the last series, Kaiserklein's round of 16 series versus King of Osmane. Kaiserklein elected for the France civilization. And King of Osmane also counterpicked with Japan. And that was a very, very good game. I think it ended up going maybe to the 30-minute mark. Of course, Kaiserklein, our series winner, our round of 8 participant, he did win that game. But it was a very, very close, very, very tight game. And Knuschelbär probably going to see to accomplish what King of Osmane couldn't. And take a win with his Japan here on Florida against Kaiserklein's France. Of course, Knuschelbär in the green color to the south of the map. Kaiserklein spawning blue to the north. I'm really interested to see what Knuschelbär's deck is going to be, as far as how many water cards he has in his deck. You know, definitely probably going to have at least 3 fishing boats in there, maybe 5 fishing boats, maybe 2 funets, maybe the Age 2 Navy, what do you call it? Navy upgrade card, 25% attack, 25% hit points. How much investment is Knuschelbär going to go for, and how much of his strategy is going to rely on control of the ocean and the economic prowess that derives from there? How much of that is going to play into Knuschelbär's strategy? You know, in the previous game that I mentioned, Kaiserklein versus King of Osmane, same matchup, same map. Kaiserklein elected for a very aggressive 2 Expomin pressure on the Japanese player. You know, Osmane, a very defensive player, defensive-oriented player, but, you know, defense isn't always the best defense. Sometimes offense is the best defense, and in recent times we've seen, you know, the typical old metagame of Japan, which is to send 1, 2, 3, no deck yet, Heavenly Kami as the first shipment, and shrine up around the map, and just play very defensive from the start, make walls. We've seen that fade out in recent times. We've seen the adoption of more aggressive strategies, sending 2 villagers, 300 wood first, shipments like that to get, you know, to expedite the Japanese economy, and otherwise to get, you know, with something like 300 wood, perhaps early trading posts and things of the sort, barracks at the start of colonial age, aging up with things like the Torii Gate. Knuschelbär, you know, I don't feel as though he's a stranger to that playstyle, but I also feel like he's more of an adherent to the defensive playstyle. A kind of a mix of his team game skill, you know, a macro focus gameplay, and just probably some comfortability factor playing defensive. So I figure if Kaiserklein were to again go for an aggressive build order, I don't think Knuschelbär would go for anything cheeky like a stable start with a 300 export first discovery shipment, first colonial shipment, where he's training Yamabushi and Naginata for a quick counter push against like a 10 Expomin mass. Instead, I think we'll probably see some more traditional gameplay out of Knuschelbär. We see the Toshoku Shrine in the works for Knuschelbär, shifting over some villagers to wood. 3 fishing boats was the first shipment, so we can take a look at the deck. Actually, we cannot. I think we have to go for Kaiserklein first, and then look at Knuschelbär. So there you go. Actually, minimal investment. No 5 fishing boats, but there is 2 funets. No other upgrade cards for the Navy, so he's just going to go for some minimal commitment. Just sending 3 fishing boats first, and 2 funets as an insurance policy on the water if Kaiserklein ever does choose to go for the water himself. Alternatively, Kaiserklein, 2 caravels, no frigate. So it doesn't seem as though Kaiserklein's going to choose to commit heavily to the water as a part of his strategy. But he does have 2 caravels in there to, you know, bolster a counter water a commit from the Japanese player. Looking around at the map. A lot of treasures. A war dog for Knusch. Let's see if that's still alive. Oh, even a native scout pickup for Knusch. But not scouting out the barracks from Kaiserklein quite yet. Pretty much going for exactly the same build order that we saw against King of Osmania. Look at this. Barracks in one screen's length of the Japanese town center. I feel like he was against King of Osmania. Kaiserklein was able to get like an even sneakier position, even closer to the trading post, an even better angle for pressuring the Japanese player. This time, you know, Knuschelbär does have some nice tree coverage to rely on. That'll slow the reinforcements. You know, just the pathing around these trees is going to be difficult for Kaiserklein to measure up against. But it should be all right. No walls for Knuschelbär. So unlike King of Osmania, Knuschelbär is not constructing any defensive walls so far. There was an early barracks being constructed at the start of the colonial age for the Japanese player. And let's look at the units in queue. First wall is coming in at the 5-minute 45-second mark, but look at this. Expomen already on the way, in line of sight of the Japanese player. Going to have to repel all of these villagers from that silver mine. Going to take down one villager. Nice pickup. Explorer going down, but only 3 Yumis popped, and I don't know that 3 Yumis can do a great job against this Expomen mass. Especially because Knuschelbär doesn't have the coin in order to get something like Minutemen, like the Irregulars, or even the Sentries to snare the Minutemen, perhaps. Great picks for the French player so far. 2 Yumis focus fired down, only 1 Expomen lost, 1 villager deleted for Knuschelbär. Now, again, more pressure coming in. Another villager going down. 2 villagers dead for Knuschelbär. Idled up in his town center. 5 Yumis his shipment. Four villagers was the actually the first shipment in colonial age for Knuschelbär, which is a little bit curious. Normally you'd see something like 600 wood, but look at that. Sentries now popped, snaring these Expomen. But the Expomen have done a really great job. You know, Kaiserklein has done a smart job of splitting the fire of his Expomen, not to overkill at all. Also continuing to focus down these Yumi archers. Wow, that was a lot of dead Expomen. But not focusing the sentries until absolutely critical. And, you know, Kaiserklein has lost quite a bit so far. It seems like 1, 2, 3, about 20 Expomen so far. But is that even a bad trade? Because he's killed 10 Yumis, 2 villagers, and gotten a lot of idle time. At the same time, though, you have to take a look at the recalculated economic unit population. In theory, Knuschelbär should be way ahead, but you have to realize there are probably, you know, 20-some villagers in this town center not being able to gather. And again, you know, Kaiserklein just getting excellent batches. Rolling 10 pops of these Expomen. Now even bolstering his economy with 4 Coureur de Bois in the back. Great focus fire on these Yumis, constant pressure. Not a single villager being allowed to pop out. Okay, now 2, fine. 2 villagers able to pop out and start gathering. Just keeping his foot on the gas pedal. Kaiserklein now taking a significant score advantage and evening up the economic gap. There's a few villagers, even a few fishing boats, I should say, idle on the coast. Just Knuschelbär not having the time at all to macro these. Some villagers trying to escape and build a shrine over here. And this is just great from Kaiserklein. He doesn't even need pikemen at the moment. Like, he doesn't need to do anything, really. He's not even focusing down the barracks because he knows that Knusch doesn't have any resources because he's completely penned up here. Another batch of what looks like 7 Expomen coming in. Oh, 5 Yumis popping out here, but not going to live long for this world. And jammed between these, the reinforcing... Ooh. Kaiserklein. A little bit slow, but not too slow. 1 Yumi already dead. Dang, another one dead. Explorer dead. Losing the Hussars, but again, not a big deal. That 3 Huss shipment was a great value to Kaiserklein. Knusch just doing his best to perform the defense here, but with nothing like a regulars, which would allow Knuschelbär to at least one-shot these Expo-men with his Town Center Fire. It's looking like dire straits. Look at this, almost a 35-point advantage for the French player. There's Daimyo Mototada. And we'll have to see just how much Daimyo can do. We can see already one-third of his HP being taken down. Another villager pick. Halfway. And this Daimyo does not look like he's gonna last very long. Daimyo Mototada now being, taken back, but just barely alive. But that's the end of Daimyo Mototada. It's gonna take him a very, very long time to heal in order to be able to come back into the fray without being focus fired down. It does ward off the pressure, but look at the resource count for Kaiserklein. 700 coin in bank. Units in queue. Let's take a look. Is he committing to... Yeah, it seems like Kaiserklein is going to continue to commit to age 2 pressure rather than aging up, and I do like that from him. A forward stable. More pressure. Probably going to get another villager pick. And now sitting with the economic lead and continuing to idle Knuschelbär, idle the Japanese player who is barely sitting with half HP on his town center. Starting to mix some musketeers into the composition. And a great economy in the back of it for Kaiserklein. Hussars just on the prowl around the map. Maybe... Yeah, the Daimyo, he does have a slower speed than the Hussars, and he is going to get taken down. There you go, and a big reinforce. 2 more Hussars going to connect. And some DPS from the musketeers in the back. Continued pressure in the base of Knuschelbär. Game 2, bringing back the momentum. Kaiserklein. Yeah, that's really significant for Knuschelbär. He probably didn't have CM in deck at all. And that was what sealed the deal for Kaiserklein. Kaiserklein probably scouting that and realizing, he can pressure as much as he likes. And because the Japanese player doesn't have CM... Yeah, there you go. I was going to age, then realize with that CM, you are out of the contention. Really smart play from Kaiserklein. Really well executed as well. Great macro, great micro. And although Knuschelbär did his best, without Colonial Militia, this was very difficult for him to hold, and wasn't a lot that he could do. A quick Game 3. Like I said, bringing the momentum back for Kaiserklein. Arkansas already picked and Germany already locked. That seems like a classic Kaiserklein play. Actually, Knuschelbär comfortable. There you go. A little bit speedy on the rebound here, which, in my experience, is sometimes a sign of tilt. At least it shows a lack of forethought for jumping into a next game in a series after you've just lost a point. But without further ado, Game 4 in our Best of 7 series Pro Division quarterfinals ESOC Winter Championship 2020. Kaiserklein, number 1 seed versus Knuschelbär, the number 8. Map is Arkansas, which is going to be the middle point of our series. This is the opportunity for Knuschelbär to tie up the match, or for Kaiserklein to put himself on match point. Take a look at the hunts. 3 good ones for Knusch there, and 1 and a 2 for Kaiserklein there. Coin mines, good. A little bit obnoxious for Knusch with this forward one here, and the berries are a little bit far away from the town center. A little bit unfortunate for Knusch there. Although Kaiserklein's mine. Side mine, not too bad. This one a little bit forward. The next one in the back for Knuschelbär is also probably not too hard to defend, but this forward one is probably quite obnoxious, like I mentioned. Outside that, we have Knuschelbär scouting at the middle of the map. Gonna get this Tomahawk treasure. Kaiserklein immediately going for trading post. Seems like it was a wood start, which again, very favorable for the German player. Not bad for the Japanese. Going to build a consulate right off the bat, and only needs to gather 6 more wood to be able to get a not even 6 more wood actually, with the change in shrine cost, but gonna gather the 6 wood nonetheless for Knusch. A wood is never a bad start for Japanese, again, because it expedites you getting that consulate up, and you save a lot of villager seconds that you would otherwise have to spend chopping wood if you wanted to do the same start with the consulate. You hadn't started with wood. But also, wood is just killer for Germany, even getting the pass there. Kaiserklein. Oof! A hot 95 wood treasure right off the bat, too. I'm glad the resources were good on this map and we didn't have to rehost. Because Kaiserklein is, phew, he would be very, very upset if we had to do that. This has been a very, very strong start for Kaiser. Knusch, 80 experience and, you know, a native scout for himself, and also beginning to creep an 80 food treasure. So not a bad start for him either. Knusch is going to get that 2 villager shipment expedited for picking up the 80 XP, and then also 80 food is going to speed up. Look at that, almost 400 food in bank for the Japanese player. That's going to be a really, really speedy age up. 300 wood, actually, the first shipment for our Japanese player this game. Which is a little bit curious. I would have figured 2 villagers to be the pick here, just to, you know, speed up the build order a little bit more. But instead, electing for 300 wood, gonna get him a trading post. And I think this game we're gonna see some aggressive play out of Knusch. Definitely with 300 wood and a trading post built, we're not gonna see the defensive-oriented style that we saw in the previous game from Knusch, being the recipient of a speedy Expoman rush from the French player. I feel that in this particular matchup, Knuschelbär probably feels like he can get away with aggression much more. The likelihood of the German player going for something like an 8 Expoman pressure to start off the game is not as impending, because Knuschelbär is probably aware that Kaiserklein prefers different options with this German. Ooh, but even 100 food scouted out for Knuschelbär over here. Age up already in queue. A decent time for Japanese. Seems like this is likely the Toshogu Shrine, but it could also be the Torii Gates, I suppose. And working on that 100 food treasure. 200 wood in bank for Knusch, but having to gather up this treasure. Not able to build anything like shrines at the moment. Might go for that soon. Or he might just bank the wood, actually. We'll have to see. So I'm more inclined to believe that this is the Toshogu Shrine, considering Knusch is not building that much in the way of shrines in the transition to the colonial age. And, you know, that Toshogu Shrine will also grant Knuschelbär some additional population space, 20 population space once the Toshogu is constructed. It's not anything cheeky like a Torii Gates. Take a look at the deck. This time around, Knusch does have regulars in his deck, but I don't think that's going to come into play because I figure Knuschelbär is going to opt, like I mentioned, some more aggressive gameplay. Kaiserklein, on the other hand, pretty standard deck, and no 3 War Wagons is the notable... Oh, never mind. I was completely wrong there. So a very, very standard deck from the German player. A lot of options open to him. He has 600 wood if you wanted to do something like Expoman Pressure. Not going to be the case this game, but there was the option for it. 2 settler wagons for an lengthened colonial age. Now, look at this. The bear and the Tomahawk Scout. Pressuring this forward settler wagon from Kaiserklein. Outpost! Look at that! Even getting scouted by Knuschelbär, so Knusch knows what's up. Knusch is already on the way up, and I suppose I was wrong. You know, there's a wall coming up. Forward barracks, probably, let's see the units in queue. Is it Yumi? Rashigaru. Okay. So, you know, Knusch might not necessarily be going for an overall defensive playstyle. He's just getting the wall up as a general insurance against what Kaiserklein may do, and then he could play aggressive in the back of it. You know, this wall can go up for basically minimal investment. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 45 wood plus the villager seconds invested into building it. So maybe roughly 100 wood. Even less than that, really. But we do see some Ashigarus popping out. Knusch. Economic population's roughly even, but with third shipment being 4 villagers for Knusch. Knusch is going to take the lead here. Market upgrade should start to roll in because Knusch has constructed one, but some great market upgrades for our German player. 700 wood first. No barracks. No stable. It seems like just a pure fake out, actually. And look at this. It's working for the most part. Some Ashigarus coming out for Knuschelbär. This seems like about the timing, but he's probably going to choose to play defensive because Knusch is expecting an 8 Expoman pop and like some pikemen to come out here. You know, he saw the outpost, so he scouted some aggression from Kaiserklein, but look at this. Not even 700 coin. Kaiserklein distributing for the age up. Now building the forward barracks. A little bit risky, you know, if you ask me, but very soon here, Kaiserklein is going to be up to age 3. The fake out play. And Knuschelbär probably going for what he was always going to go for. You know, he's going to try to raid with these Ashigarus, not feeling comfortable to push the forward base, the forward outpost of Kaiserklein, but actually wrapping around here, getting some scouting, seeing the stable going up and no pressure. Knuschelbär is probably clued into the fact that it was indeed a fake out. No gate. Portuguese Bastiados, not the best for siege, so you know, Knuschelbär isn't going to be able to do much in the way of pressuring this outpost without putting himself at, you know, significant risk. Instead, just going to go back. Good positioning again, I think, with that, you know, the angle he left the line of sight of Kaiserklein. Made it look like he was fully going back to his base, but instead was wrapping around to go for a raid. So there you go. Kaiserklein up to age 3. Knusch realizing he has to put some pressure on this forward base or else he's going to lose control. You know, eventually his raids are going to get caught and he's going to be pushed back to his base. So choosing to put pressure around the outpost and the barracks of the German player. Kaiserklein's got a skirmisher in queue. I didn't pay attention, unfortunately, to the population count to be able to tell what shipment might be coming in, but I would figure it's most likely going to be 8 skirmishers to start off. Oh, a very well-timed 2 Yulins, but oof, not going the right direction. And then lucky catch for Knuschelbär, going to be able to get that wall up, but here comes the pressure. And, you know, only Ashigaru is on the board for the Japanese player. 1 villager down. Oof, just escaping the volley. That last one. Knuschelbär on the way up to age 3 himself. But it's not going to be easy to hold. This wall is just going to get melted down really quickly. Another wall coming up. Good defensive positioning. Another one coming up too. I really like it, but it's still really hard to hold for Knusch here. This barracks is liable to go down. More villagers being slain. 6 Yumi is going to pop, but really, against this skirmisher mass, I don't know how much 11 Yumi and these Bastiados can accomplish. Kaiserklein is at a significant lead here. So there you go. Here comes some of the pressure. Get damage in on the barracks. Seems like the barracks is going to go down, and if that goes down, Knusch is not going to be able to upgrade his units. He doesn't have the wood. He's not able to gather the wood. He's being pressured off the resources. He has a barracks coming in the back, but he's not going to have the resources to upgrade. What can Knusch do here? What can he send to bring him back in? Even deleting the, ending consulate relation, now alliance with the Japanese. But what's on the way? What can Knusch do? What can Knusch send? Is it 5 Naganatas? Is that the best shipment? Let's see. Not entirely sure what the call is for Knusch here. 9 Yumi archers, that does seem like the best pick. The sentries are lost for Kaiserklein. For Knusch. He's not able to call in the sentries again. And this veteran Yulin mass now, veteran just coming in. Just gonna rely on walls as the anti-cavalry, I suppose. Only 7 Ashigarus in the back. But really? The Yulin's wrapping around here. Oh, and they're gonna connect. This wall is not gonna go up, and there's some exposed villagers too, but Kaiserklein, these melee Ashigaru, focusing them down now with his Explorer. Knusch not setting them to melee quite yet. More Ashigarus, 8 Ashigarus coming out, being put immediately into melee. Oh, but a lot of villagers here too, and a lot of the Ashigarus dying. Not many skirmishers to focus them down, but the Yulin DPS is pretty dang high. There's 5. Oh, it's so tough. There's still a lot of Yulins left, but they're starting to dwindle in their hit points. And look at this excellent wall. Oh, but Kaiserklein is able to get through it, able to get a good snare. Using the Explorers to sponge here. A very even engagement. But Knusch also lost a lot of villagers for that. He also had to use 2 shipments there. Another shipment on the way for Knusch. I don't know if there's one coming for Kaiser. There you go. So Kaiserklein even leading in terms of the shipment progression. Gonna keep his foot on the gas pedal, pushing with the 7 skirmisher shipment. And again, a huge pressure on this mine, not able to gather from it at all. Having to rely on this one in the back. I figure the next shipment for Knusch is gonna have to be 9 Yumi. And there is veterancy for these Yumis coming on the way. Still a very close game. Kaiser being active with his Yulins. Good job there. Not letting them, just sit idle. Gonna siege down this trading post. Knusch trying to reconnect, building a gate here. Veterancy on these disciplined Yumi. Slightly outranged by the skirmishers, though. They will outcompete them, out-DPS them. There you go, even an even trade, like right there. Even one to Kaiserklein's favor. 9 Yumi against what? Sorry, 9 skirmishers against 18 Yumi, and the skirmishers come out with a better trade, killing 2 Yumi, only losing 1 skirm. Taking down the trade post from Knusch. And again, with significant economic disparity, having lost so many villagers in the defense there, even looking at the economic upgrades, just a few basic ones for Knusch, whereas for the German player, pretty good, steel traps and hunting dogs, and placer mines. And even taking control of the stagecoach line, 1,000 wood having been shipped, and plenty of wood in the bank for even more. Something like another house and even a trading post. Sorry, not a trading post, a town center. Probably also looking to upgrade the trade line to stagecoach. And just look at this this maze of walls in Knusch's base. I figured this actually does more to, make it difficult for Knusch to distribute villas along these resources than it does anything else. I mean, for example, Kaiserklein could hit on the weak point right here and just have free reign over the wood and the coin mine for Knusch. Is this another town center? No, just a stable coming up for the Japanese player. Luckily for Knusch, this pathway that sometimes spawns at the back of the cliffs is closed off for him, so some good defensive positioning. Two flaming arrows in the back there, probably even to siege down this trading post without being too far out of the way of the gate here. Oh, another wall coming up, and that's a very good play. A very, very good play, defending his flank. Knuschelbär. But like I said, you know, Kaiserklein keeping active. There you go. Like I mentioned, hitting on the weak point, and wood villagers exposed, coin villagers exposed. It's definitely hard for Knusch to maintain control of his resource locations. Look at that. One villager going down. But overall, a pretty good trade for Knusch there. Took down 3 Yulins at the price of 1 villager. Really not bad. However, there's Hessian Jaegers now coming for the reinforced from Kaiserklein. Big shipments. Even, look at this, an artillery foundry in the back, and I love this. A little bit of a lag spec there, but should be alright. I love this from Kaiserklein. Does he have a stable elsewhere? Of course he does. He has a stable in the back. He has veteran Yulins and some war wagons on the field. And he has Hessian Jaegers. Mixing in the artillery at this point is an excellent call. It seems the first thing he's going to be producing out of that is a Culverin. I'm curious to know, maybe he'll go for 2 Culverins or just 1. Really, 1 Culverin is enough to handle flaming arrows, but it won't handle them very quickly. After this batch of Culverins, I'd like to see Kaiserklein mix in, you know, some Falconets. You know, Kaiserklein really doesn't have a lot to do here. He's got the stagecoach and a 1 TP advantage. He has the economic lead, and for most of the game, he had better economic upgrades. So really, Kaiserklein doesn't have much to do here. You know, he's leading on economy. He has the stronger army at the moment, and that's not going to change anytime soon. And even if Knusch is able to get in a powerful Japanese military unit upgrade, the Japanese player is just going to be way outmassed. He's going to have a weaker economy. You know, 5 Naganatas popping out here, and thankfully they're disciplined. Look at that. 2 exposed flaming arrows popping out at the front here. Getting a shot in, but not a kill. And the Culverins not scouted yet. Might be able... The flaming arrows blocked off and in very close proximity. Oh, the GG right there. And even there, the 2 orchards. Knusch realizing it. It's game over. You know, losing those flaming arrows for free, which was a huge... just massively important for his defensive posturing, but beyond that, just being out-ecoed, out-positioned, and not having any map control or any way to really get out on the map. You know, this ridge even being a curse because he's not able to, you know, pressure this side of the map where Kaiserklein is now gathering by sending out, you know, some Ashigarus to raid, perhaps. So another convincing game 3, or not game 3, but game 4 from Kaiserklein, his 3rd victory, which will put him on match point to move on to the semi-finals. Next map, Colorado, and the lock is on Kaiserklein. He cannot play Russia. Okay, well, I think he's already locked, so what do I even have to say? Kaiserklein, no Germany, no Ottoman, and if I'm not mistaken... yeah, I don't remember the other one, but Kaiserklein electing to lock Russia on Colorado. Game number 5, Knuschelbär. Counterpick Aztec. If you have been enjoying the stream today, we had a really excellent match between Snow and Lucas, another quarterfinals match earlier today, casted by Harrison and Chrissy. If you're enjoying today's cast and today's games, do consider a donation to ESOC, of course. So we are almost entirely funded by community contributions. Just recently, we're able to, you know, fund ourselves through Twitch and YouTube as well, but donating and especially subscribing is a great way to support the community. Subscribing will also get you the bonus of some great emotes, some ESOC Premier League team emotes, as well as the classics like ESOC Easy and ESOC Somali, which are very fun to use. But all donations are appreciated. Subscriptions, great way to support the channel if you're enjoying Age of Empires 3 content. Want to see it continue on into the future. Contribution is always appreciated. Locking into Game 5 here, Russia versus Aztec. Match point for Kaiserklein, leading the series 3-1. After a rocky start in Game 1, Knuschelbär had established a lead for himself, winning with his Russia against Kaiserklein's France. However, Kaiserklein bringing the momentum back for himself, winning 3 games straight and looking to go for a 4th. Like I mentioned, the matchup, Russians versus Aztecs on ESOC Colorado. Colorado, one of my favorite maps. A map with very consistent hunts, so thankfully, very thankfully, I don't really have to check the resources here because they're almost always going to spawn very consistently. Yeah, look at that, great. Equidistant from the trading post to the 3rd coin mine for both players. A very close hunt for Kaiser. And then resources over here for Knusch as well, within a TC's length. Just outside of a screen's length, I should say. Great. I just love Colorado. It always spawns the same, and there's absolutely no worries with regards to the resource distribution for both players. But look at that, 95 wood right off the bat for Kaiserklein. Seems like it was even a wood start here, so with just 10 villager seconds invested chopping some wood, which is very little, mind you, Kaiserklein is going to be able to get a trading post here, and that is significant. That's something, you know, in 98% of Russia games, you know, you're not able to do. So that is going to be a massive economic boon to the Russian player here. Knusch, on the other hand, also a wood start for him. We got a house, a fire pit. Was it even a wood start? Am I mistaken? Oh, it seems like it actually... Yeah, no, it's definitely a wood start. So what am I missing here? I'm a little bit confused. Okay, so it wasn't a wood start. I think maybe it was a food start then. So there wasn't an additional wood crate. In fact, the reason Kaiserklein didn't finish off this wood crate over here was because he found 40 wood to complete that off. So he's just saved some villager seconds by not gathering that up there. So he's actually not going to be able to get the trade post like I was I was believing. But imagine if it were a wood start. That would be crazy for Kaiserklein. Knusch, on the other hand, 50 food. What else is he getting? A bear cub, not too bad. He's got a converted grizzly bear and a converted cougar for himself. Gonna pick up another grizzly bear, even stronger than the converted one. You can see 10 attack, 180 versus 220. 27 hit attack! That is not bad. That's almost as good as a hussar, a straight up cavalry unit. Launcher the pet grizzly. Let's see, we didn't even name this one. Knuschelbär building up his Pokemon team. Kaiserklein, on the other hand, what else has he found? He has located 110 coin. Thinking about creeping it. Going to start creeping it. Hasn't been scouted by Knusch, but it does seem... There you go. Knusch is going to be on the way. Scouting out the north side of the map now. It's going to be close. Oh, nope. Knusch has scouted it. Darting towards that treasure. Who's going to get there first? Kaiser is there first, but... Oh, definitely a treasure for Kaiserklein, but he will lose his Explorer at the expense of that and get a lot of... So Knusch is going to get basically a 90 XP treasure there. Now, I think he probably would have preferred 220 coin, which would have been the what the coin treasure would have effectively been, considering he stole it and got it. But, you know, 90 XP, killing the Explorer, and... preventing the Russian player from getting any more scouting information before Colonial Age. That's pretty worthy. That's not too bad. A market for Kaiserklein going for an economic start. And chopping the wood. Seems like, I wonder if he's going to queue up hunting dogs first, or continue chopping and also get hunting dogs and the blockhouse. Or perhaps just a blockhouse. But I would figure he's going to go for it. Yeah, there you go. We have hunting dogs in queue for Kaiserklein. 3 grizzlies. I think just 2 more units, and Knuschelbär will not be able to have any more Pokemon on his team. In fact, there's only 1 more Pokemon allowed on his team before he has to put something in the box. Oh, there you go. It's going to be a Nootka Clubman. 3 Grizzlies, a Cougar, a Nootka Clubman, and a Native Scout from the Karankawa tribe. There you go. Capitalizing on the fact that Kaiserklein will have no scouting information, a forward War Hut coming up for Knusch, and behind it, 3 Warrior Priests. Those Warrior Priests are definitely going to be able to dance for experience points. I think that's what Knusch is going to opt for. No villagers being tasked to this fire pit, so I don't believe they're on the dance that allows them to train more warrior priests. You know, as the first shipment, I might have even liked if Knusch did the 3 trading post shipment. Let's see if he has it in deck. Yeah, the 3 trading post shipment. I think that might be a slightly better shipment than 3 warrior priests first. Now, of course, sending 3 warrior priests, it's not just used for experience points. It also allows him to do a stronger attack dance, a stronger fertility dance. It also allows him to ransom back it, or dance to revive his explorer back. So there are some benefits to doing the 3 warrior priests firsts over 3 trading posts, but if you were only to do the experience points dance, I think sending 3 trading posts is a better shipment. Look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you want to convert anymore, you're going to have to put them in the box, Knusch. There we do see, so Kaiserklein does have knowledge that there are some forward villagers for Knusch. He probably has some good knowledge of where this War Hut is for Knusch. Trading post now going up. 700 wood was the first shipment for our Russian player. A lot of safe resources in base, some good herding. Getting some good herding in on the 3rd hunt as well. And I expect steel traps too. Even steel traps researched. Placer mines may be coming on the way. A consideration. Trading post. Great economy for our Russian player so far. Nusha, 700 wood, 6 pikemen. This is first shipment. But with no forward trade post from the Russian player, there's not a lot for the pikemen to do so far. There should be, I expect, a shipment. A shipment on the way, another shipment on the way for the Aztec player. It'll probably be 10 Mace Walton, and that'll probably be go time for the Aztec player to begin. There you go, 10 Mace Walton, hitting the board, and I figure Knusch is gonna want to push in here pretty soon. There's a pretty strong timing here, but you know Kaiserklein is also pretty stacked up on his defensive posturing. Has a stable, a blockhouse, a batch of Strelets, Musketeers, a 3-unit composition, and the ability to train more. A big batch of Strelets, Musketeers, Cossacks, and Minutemen, whatever. Blockhouse Fire, Town Center. This is a very cloistered position for Knusch to break, and Knusch not going to even try at all to push into it. Now, hitting up the 7-minute mark, 8-minute mark, I don't even know if Knusch is going to go for a timing at all. He might just commit to... now we see 5 villagers coming out here. Maybe he'll just go for an age up in the back of this. Gonna fight with the warrior priest, might lose one. Ooh, really nice job with the Nootka, getting that in on the Cossack. Just barely saving it. Nice job, Knusch, keeping that warrior priest alive and also killing a Cossack. I don't think Kaiserklein. Maybe he is gearing up to age himself. It's kind of hard to tell because, you know, there's still a lot of coin left for him to gather if he wants to do that. So I don't think Kaiser is going to commit to an age up or anything cheeky like that in this particular matchup. Just going to continue to mass more units. And again, like, look at just how many resources are in base here. Great herding job by Kaiserklein. Great defensive posturing with the making use of the trees here. Houses, the blockhouse positioning. Such an excellent job with the the Sim City over here. We do have something coming in. Napoleon Elo, thank you for the cheer. Knusch. What is Knusch up to? I mean, he doesn't have the resources stacked for, you know, an age up himself, so it seems like both players are committing to age 2. And, you know, we don't see a warrior priest boom for, ooh, even a nice cheeky pick. Gonna get a raid on a villager and kill that low HP warrior priest that Knusch dealt some damage to earlier with that, sorry, that Cossack. You know, the longer this game goes, really the better it becomes for Russia. With the Boyars upgrade, this Russian infantry is just going to become this Russian composition, because even the Cossacks get boosted. It's going to become so much stronger than what the Aztec player can field. The Aztec only being able to upgrade their coyotes in age 2. Some prodding with the Mace Waltons, but gotta be careful. The coyote mass starting to shape up. 6 coyotes coming in for Knusch. Very close game. You can see close on the recalc, close on the military unit population. Oh, in the back of it, I completely missed it, but Kaiserklein was aging up. And with that age up, probably going to single go time for Knuschelbär. Coyote comeback coming in, so this is definitely the best timing possible for Knusch. And as soon as he sees that hit up, in. There you go. Tasking all of his military units to go in. He wasn't anticipating it, but now that he sees it, he has to go in. Coyote combat in. This is the best opportunity for Knuschelbär. This is the time when his military is going to be strongest in relation to the Russian players. Definitely going to siege down this blockhouse really quick, so there's not going to be the time for any upgrades on these any veterancy upgrades on the Russian infantry. Coyote's now starting to connect on the Strelets, but Musketeers coming in to defend. Also getting a house here, and that won't obstruct Kaiserklein from his first H3 shipment, H3 unit shipment, but it will get the next one prevented at least. 2 Falconets popping in here. Knusch going back, but is Knusch anywhere near an age up himself? And we do see the blockhouse in construction. Wasn't able to get veteran muskets or veteran Strelets, but now, you know, Kaiserklein will be able to get those upgrades, and with a solid economy, a solid existing military unit mass, you know, I think Kaiserklein is in a great position. And Knusch is nowhere near aging up himself, so he has to commit to age 2 play. He has to commit to, you know, winning in age 2, and I think that's going to be pretty hard considering everything that Russia can do in age 3. Not even Boyar shipped yet, but there is the potential for that in the future. Perhaps another unit shipment. You know, Kaiserklein working his way up to, you know, the overall population for both players is even. Kaiserklein has a significant mass, and soon his units are going to be a lot stronger with the veterancy upgrades. Knusch has already shipped the only possible upgrade he can send in Coyote combat, and so these Aztec units are not going to get any stronger. So we do see 600 coin coming in for Knusch, but like I said, you know, I don't see him committing to the Fortress Age Up. It would just take way too long, and in the time that takes to be for that Fortress Age to be researched, the Russian player could easily break this forward blockhouse war hut position and start barreling towards the Aztec player's base. One raiding Cossack. Getting in some more information, again, importantly, that Knuschelbär has not committed any more to training up warrior priests. So the Aztec player is not going to have a very strong attack dance, a very strong fertility dance. Even the experience stance is starting to dwindle in effect. The longer this game goes on. 20 Strelets. The next shipment for Kaiserklein. And here it is. Here comes the engagement. It seems like, oh, really awkward position. Coyotes on the muskets and the Cossacks and pikemen on the Strelets. 2 Falconets. Great positioning behind the infantry mass from the Russian player. Gonna get some great shots in. Lots of DPS in. Not a lot of active engagement from the Aztec units. And now Musketeers completely surrounding the Falconets. Even if Knusch is able to take down one of these Falconets, which it doesn't seem like he's able to. Game called by Knuschelbär. And that was match point. Game 5 going to Kaiserklein, earning himself a slot in the semifinals of the Winter Championship 2020 Pro Division, entitling him to at least $225 and the potential for the first place prize, $750. Really well played series by Kaiserklein. Very few mistakes. Even in game 1, you know, it's hard to say that Kaiserklein made a mistake when he dropped a game to Knusch. Just seemed like a good strategy and a good situation for Knusch. Well played overall. Really good job by Knusch as well. Like, I think his play has been quite good throughout the series, but Kaiserklein just getting the better of him. And it's hard to put him at fault when he's going up against the #1 player. Some opportunists coming out from Kaiserklein after this fight would have really made mincemeat of those war huts. Really intelligent play. And that will be the end of our quarterfinal series here. And I think that's the last match casted for today. So I want to thank all of you for tuning in. And to keep up to date with the doings of the ESOC Winter Championship, our Pro Division is actually coming to a finish. We do have 2 semifinalists already. Lucas L99 going to be playing against Maido. Both players having won their quarterfinals match. And then Kaiserklein will be advancing to the semifinals himself against either Haza 54321 or I Am Turk. That quarterfinals match is yet to be played. But beyond that, we also have further divisions, the advanced, intermediate, and beginner divisions, which are starting to heat up as well. We do have a quarterfinals match in the advanced division, Samwise 12 versus The Last Samurai. As well, King of Osmene versus Perez. Perez, an up-and-comer. I'm really excited to see what he has to field. Like I mentioned, that'll be it for the stream today. Thank you guys for tuning in and continuing to support ESOC. For almost 5 years, the 5th anniversary of ESOC's creation is coming up, I think February 11th, if I'm not mistaken. But that's a topic for another time, and I do have to get going. So I think I'll end the cast here, end the stream. And guys for tuning in, and I'll see you later.